chat or anything is going to see us live. So we're
I
we're
thought
recording now.
officially now. Okay.
Okay. So don't say anything. Don't say any real names.
No.
so so the retreat.
Mm. So yeah, we my wife signed like okay, this is how it all came to be. I'll tell you the whole tale. I
Okay.
and for one, I don't like to leave the house like to sleep somewhere else. I don't like to do that. I have health issues and I like to be close to home. I like my home base, my bed, my
Your
food, my
castle.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll go somewhere, but just I don't want to stay there. But my son, who has the heart condition, she his friend is going there, and they wanted to check out the camp themselves before they sent their kid, and I don't want to send my kid by himself because I
Yeah.
worry about him too much. And
Yeah.
people like one time he went on a field trip with a school and they didn't like he needs to take breaks and he needs certain things and they didn't give it to him and I was really angry. I wanted to yell at that teacher, but I purposely stayed away. But anyways, I digress.
No, I know what you mean. Nobody treats your child like their own. They never will.
Right. And especially if he has conditions, and I can't expect maybe everyone to understand. So whatever. It doesn't matter. Um,
Right.
so we thought we'd take him for the family one, so at least he gets to experience it. That
That's
was
a
my
good
wife's.
idea.
That's how my wife sold it to me, anyway. And so, okay, I agree. I'll do it for that reason. So we get there, and it's relatively like inexpensive to go. And I was thinking like how inexpensive it is, but anyway, so we have to go through a couple Indian reservations to get there, and it's at the
Uh-huh.
end of civilization. Like I literally mean this. Like the only way to get any further north in our province from there is by either the ice roads, which are frozen lakes in the winter, or by air. That's it. There's no. That's it. You're at the end of it.
Wow. Sounds like out of a movie.
Right? Very cool. Um, but we see our cabin. Our cabin is like before he puts us, he's like, it's not 5 star, and nor did I expect 5 star, but let's say it's very rustic. Let's just say that.
Yeah, yeah.
Very very rustic, and it was awkward at first. Um,
Oh no. With other people because of other
yeah,
people or
because
just
there's all these families. I don't know them. No one knows anybody. Well, they all know each other, but like, so
okay.
I find out later they're basically all from this church from this tiny little community just a little north of me. And I really
Okay.
find out that all these people are, it's hard to explain where I live. I live at this like intersection. Just south of me is kind of a small town, 500 people. Just north of me, small town of maybe 100 people.
You're
Then
right.
to the left of me, there's like a big town, but it's not big, but maybe like 1,000 people, but it's far away, like maybe an hour drive. And then to the right of
Okay.
me, there's a Hutterite colony, and north of me is that little town, and then the Indian reservations, and then it's nothing. So I'm at this weird intersection where all these things kind of meet, and it ends up that all these people all live within like 3, maybe 5 kilometers most, all around the same intersection where I am, and I didn't know any of them. And
Oh
they ended up,
no.
no, it was really good. No, that was good.
Oh,
They're
okay.
yeah, like they're all pretty. It was awkward at first, but I got to know them. Like some were uh like they're all hardcore Christians. And these guys are all like not preppers, but they all have the same mindset where be outside of the cities, be self sufficient, these types of people. But
Sounds
maybe
like
they
down to
lean
earth people.
right, yeah, and pretty cool. And they like some of them lean more towards the doctrine of some of our friends, and some lean more towards mine. But it was cool. We had some interesting conversations. It was kind of weird, like it was culty in a way, because you all ate together in a mess hall. Bells would ring to tell you to go to chapel, weird stuff like that. But and then games and hanging out. But it was fun. You got to get to know each other, and there ended up being this like guest speaker, and his whole spiel was like marriage inside the Bible, kind of. Which I don't know if
Oh,
my
okay.
wife knew about that, and maybe that was her little side plan or something. I don't know, but so it turned out okay. Like it wasn't bad, and it was nice to meet these people and make new connections and get to know more of my neighbors. So besides the rough accommodations, it was pretty good, I guess.
I guess the question is, would you ever do it again?
Yeah, we probably would. We probably
Okay.
would. Like knowing what we know now, what to expect, and we actually like. I really genuinely liked most of the people. Like I'd say all the people. I didn't dislike anybody. Maybe I didn't see eye to eye. I didn't argue with anyone. I didn't even like. I wouldn't even always give my position away. A lot of times I would just chat.
Yeah.
Um, which I
And they
learned is a
weren't.
better way to handle situations now. Is I don't really tell people how I really feel. I kind of just let them tell me how they feel.
And then tell them that's nice and move on.
It, exactly. Like I don't try to like, oh really? Well, you're wrong because of this. Like I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Like, oh yeah, I get that or whatever, right? And just move on.
Well, good. It kind of sounds like I just didn't want you to feel like, glad I did it, but never going to do that again. But that's,
It was rough, but I think yeah, I think it was fun in its own little way. And beside like there was a lot of mosquitoes, but that's this year. It's so wet here that like the
oh,
mosquitoes are
yeah.
everywhere. So that kind of killed it. But no, I and there were so many little kids that my kids were playing with, and lots of these families are young families, and it gave me a lot of hope for this area where I was like, wow, there's all these young people with families, and they're raising them like this. So like that gives me
Yeah.
some hope, right? So that I don't know, it was cool.
Maybe something you would be willing to do every once a summer, maybe?
That's what we were saying. Like at the beginning of every summer, why don't we kind of give this thing a go? Kind of like a family tradition, and whatever. We all got along really well, even our family, and it was like kind of a bonding experience. It was cool. It
That
was cool.
does sound cool.
I'm happy I did it.
Yeah. That does sound cool. I mean, I don't think it sounds bad. I completely understand the whole thought about not wanting to leave your home. I mean, we are not comfortable anywhere else except here. It just, I never even if I have you know, my favorite pillow and my favorite blankie and all that, but I never sleep as
Exactly.
well as I do when I'm at home.
That's right.
And
Your own
so,
shower, your own bathroom. You just like,
yeah,
and as soon as I hit my driveway, I instantly felt better. And except for
yeah,
the garbage, we have garbage strewn about because so a few days ago, almost a week ago, we came out like we keep our garbage. The people who bought this we bought the house from told us that a year or so ago was the first time they really dealt with a bear, but they kept their garbage close to their house in a garbage uh can, and
right.
they had a door that had kind of a handle like a latch, and the bear
Yeah.
almost opened the door. So
Yeah, they're
we
smart.
switched the door. Yeah, we switched the door to a different type of knob, a whole different door completely, and we moved the garbage. And last year we didn't have any problems, but this year we came out and there's garbage everywhere. So at first we thought
Oh,
maybe it was a skunk that we've seen around. But then I thought about it, I'm like, no, it's not a skunk. And we're like, it's probably a bear. Then I was thinking about that. Like the ground's pretty wet. There's no paw prints.
yeah.
Um,
You'd think you'd find some kind of evidence.
right. There's no evidence that there's this been a bear, but the garbage cans are like moved quite far and there's garbage everywhere. So now I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it's raccoons. I don't know. So I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. Something. So I have to build a garbage cage so that
Ah,
I can, you know what I mean? I'm serious.
yes,
Like it
I
because
do. I
I can't take my garbage to the dump every day, right? It's like kind of a once a week thing. So I have to a safe way to store it, I guess, right?
Yeah, somebody once told me like to loop a rope over a strong branch and hang it more than 10 feet or higher in the air. But who's going to do that every night? You know?
No,
And
no. I'm gonna
I
do
know
like
my dad, you said something like you got to build a garbage storage, and it just all of a sudden I had this picture of my dad when we first moved to Washington State. My dad said something about having to build something that's bear proof, and he was joking about I don't even know how that's possible. Them things can tear apart anything, and oh,
yeah.
I
What you
can't
do
even
is
imagine.
you put a you just make a little frame and pour a cement pad, and then on
Yeah,
top of that you just place some 2x4s. You put them as like a, I guess you call it like a bottom plate. You build like
yeah,
a little frame with 2x4s up from there, and then in between the 2x4s, instead of building a wall, you use like you'd see like chain link fences, that kind of
yes.
fencing. You put that in between the 2x4s, so there's really they're not going to pull that apart. There's nothing for they can't do it. So
Well, good luck. Send pictures.
I will when we're done. I'll send you a picture of what it looks like.
Well, that's, you talk about it almost like it's a woe of living out there, but man, I still admire that you live out there. I mean, every time we go out in our yard and there's a neighbor that walks up and, oh, you got chickens, huh? Do you get a lot of eggs? It's like, no, these are non egg chickens. I mean, you just have to deal with like people in proximity. And,
Yeah.
we'd rather build a bear box.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I'm not trying to be mean. Like I don't want to be unfriendly, but sometimes when we go in our yard, we just go out there because we want to be left alone.
No, I get it. I
Pros and
It's not that
cons.
there's times when I want to socialize and times when I don't. And
Yep.
for me personally, I find it drains me physically and emotionally, like on a
Yep.
weird way when I have to socialize. And like, it's not that I'm being fake, but I
No.
do feel like I'm putting on maybe a bit of a persona where I'm more lively, more happy, more jovial. I'm gonna crack a joke or two. I'm kind of on in a way, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And my husband's the same way. It's like his if I think for him it seems more like, when he's home and he's relaxed and he doesn't have to think about what does people
Yeah,
think,
I love you.
oh, am I going to have to think of an answer here?
Hey, I lost the last 30 seconds of what you said.
Oh, I said that I know exactly how you feel. My husband's kind of the same way. It's like when he's home and relaxed, he doesn't have to switch on that awareness that, oh God, am I going to have to answer questions here? And it takes mental and physical and emotional
Yes.
energy to
Yeah.
interact. But it's not that
Yeah.
he doesn't like it. It's just that being an introvert does that. He just doesn't
It just drains
prefer
you. Yeah.
to. Yeah.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it. I feel like this guy is my long lost brother.
Brother from another mother.
For sure. Oh,
Yeah,
my mom,
I
who knows?
I can literally see him like when we go out, like I said, we went out to breakfast today at the Bonanza Casino, and I knew after breakfast, he even said in the car like we had to go get groceries, for the rest of the week, and he's like, "Can we make this quick?" I'm like, "Yes, let's go in, grab our stuff and get the hell out." And cuz I could tell he just was done being around people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We both were full. We were both tired. We just, it's a lazy weekend. I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. The
And
same here.
what's that?
I said we're the same here. Like I feel the same way as you. Exactly. I'm
No.
lucky that my nearest neighbor is kilometers away. Like that's great.
Oh,
Great.
that sounds
Great.
awesome, dude. I mean,
It is. It is.
we have a wonderful neighbor. Bless her heart. She's living next door with her daughter and her son-in-law, and they have two little kids. They're wonderful, but she's outside all the time. She says she's Appalachian or something. She's a very nice lady, but
Appalachian.
Appalachian.
Like
I
from
had
like those mountains, like the
yeah, like
Appalachian Mountains,
yeah, it's
like
like
a
country
hillbilly.
people.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
She's missing half her teeth, but she's got the biggest smile. She's beautiful. And
Awesome.
so sometimes Bobby and I will sit out in our patio by the chicken coop trying to have peace and quiet, and we hear from the other side of the yard, "Hi there!" And Bobby's like, "There's your friend." He's
I
like, "Go."
pictured Granny from like the Beverly Hillbillies for some
Yes,
reason.
yes. And Bobby will just have a bland look on his face, like, "There's your friend.
Uh,
There
yeah.
she is," and
Yeah.
that's
And
too
you're
close.
not being mean. It's just like you just don't want to be
Right.
around people. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I know. I envy your property. We're looking. We're still looking though.
You'll find something. I
I
cannot
know.
even just fathom that in all of the United States there's not one property somewhere. Like it
That's right.
come on. Come
And
on. That
we could probably just jump into any property. There is for sure, but I feel like there's got to be one that we are meant to go to. We pray about it. You know what I mean? Like
it'll just
if it's
it'll just be easy.
yes,
Like I'm like that's kind of what happened here. Like the hurdles that we would normally face seem to be like even the ones that were put up, it was just like they were easily jumped with not a lot of effort. And it was just weird. It just everything just fell into place so easily.
right.
Just like
And
yeah.
let me tell you, did when we bought this place in 2018, we were kind of in a hurry to get something that just fit a certain standard. Like we wanted
And you
a
guys were
shop.
already in Reno at that time?
Yes, but we
Like you
rented. We rented.
but how did
We
you guys find yourselves there to begin with?
Well, we met here. So when I got out of the military, I thought maybe, my I had an uncle down in Amarillo, Texas, that was like, "Y'all come on down, I'll help you find a job." And then, Boomhauer, straight out of King of the Hill.
Yeah,
And so we
yeah.
went there. And at the time, I was still married to my first husband, and my son was only 6, 7 years old, and we went down there, realized there was just no work there, no jobs. And my aunt who lived in Reno called and said, my mother's side of the family, so you go from Boomhauer to Miss Swan out of Mad TV. She's like, "You come up Reno, Auntie find you a job. You give me a call, okay? Love you." And that was every
Awesome.
phone call. But you know what? I thought about it, and we decided to come to Reno. She did get me a job here, and that's when the marriage dynamics there, he didn't want to stay married anymore, and
Yeah,
things happened.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so later, I met Bobby, and we were renting apartments together. Just I mean, because
Okay.
that's all you can find in Reno downtown. The houses
Yes.
down there, for some reason, are so expensive, and I think it's because they're so antique. They're very old homes,
Oh yeah.
and
Not a
we
lot of
find
them.
them. Yeah,
Right.
and
So
you don't
supply and
you
demand,
don't
right?
exactly. So his parents came along, and they wanted to move in with us, and so we thought, well, let's buy a property, a home with a shop for Dad to go out and be able to do his stuff, and we had this whole preconceived notion of what we wanted in a home. And we never bought a house before. We jumped right into it. We found within the first month, we found this place, and we're like, yes, we'll buy it. And we didn't question why the guy was selling it for about $20,000 cheaper than what it was worth. We
Yeah.
didn't question we didn't know what to ask. We didn't know about asking about if there's an extra building on the side. Does it need a permit to be built there? Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so we bought this place, and then I think it was about the third week, fourth week that we were living here. I was at work. Bobby worked nights, and this guy comes to the door. Turns out he was from the county telling us like, hey, you realize you've got two structures on this property that are not permitted. And we were like, oh, well, we'll just get the permit, right? And come to find out, the previous owner had been down at that office several times trying to get a permit, got denied, built the structure anyway. And then when he was cited by the county because they said he either had to tear it down or pay fines or something, they just decided to sell the place and not tell us about that issue. So we spent several $1,000s to pay somebody to take it down safely. We paid another couple $1,000s to clean up the yard because he had trash and tires and junk everywhere. Then it just
Oh
turned
yeah.
out to be a complete money pit. The roof is like way overdue to be replaced, and then I guess the septic tank was not. It was so many things wrong with this house. The pellet stove for heat was not built. I guess you have to have a certain kind of metal for the smoke pipe. He used
Yeah.
aluminum, which is a major fire hazard. We were
Yeah.
not told this. We had
Oh
to pay
wow. You
another
couldn't
thousand
sue him or
dollars.
anything?
He just, they, no, that's the problem. I reached out to the real estate agent that helped us with this place, and he was like, I asked him, I said, this is on a VA loan. Did they not see all this? I mean, how can they approve this for a VA loan? Oh, well, the VA inspector, his only job really is to estimate the value of the place. And I'm like, well, he was wrong because what we paid for it is, I
Yeah.
mean, we're still paying for stuff to fix things. We tore down two structures that we thought, the parents ended up moving out because, it created so much frustration. And it's a true testament that if it's not the right place for you, it's not gonna make you happy. But we decided to make ourselves happy here until we are ready to move on to the next place, and that's what we're in the notion of doing right now.
And there always will be like things to fix, though. You know that, right? Like,
Right.
there's always
Yes.
gonna no house is ever perfect or complete.
Exactly, especially if you have previous owners. But I
Yes.
felt like in this house, we rushed
That
into
does
it.
seem like a lot of extra stuff, though, like dealing with the
Yeah.
county and all that.
And then on
Yeah.
top of that, I had the feeling like maybe we should think about this, but no, the parents were excited. Everybody was just ready to get out of the apartment and just get into the house. And
Yeah.
then here we are.
Yeah.
But, next
Well,
time we do this, we're definitely going to wait until we know it's right. You
yeah.
know, pray
Yeah.
on it, listen to what your gut's telling you, things like that.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Don't be embarrassed to hurt a real estate agent's feelings just because you get a
Yeah.
good, you know what I'm saying? You get a feeling
Yeah.
about something, ask about it.
For sure. For sure. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Good
We
advice.
can just come move out there with you.
You could, hey, you could come build
We'll
for
go.
sure.
We'll put a boathouse on your little lake that you get
If
going
you
on out there.
if you don't mind living in like communist land, yeah, you're welcome.
No, no, thank you. No, my husband couldn't do that. He's
Yeah. I
frustrated
don't
enough
blame
with our country. So
you. Yeah. And that's probably something you guys are going to look into, like what kind of laws and government
yes.
you move into, like what your state would have, right?
Well, that's another thing. I saw plenty of properties that were sort of kind of what we were looking for in California, but
Oh yeah.
they've
Well,
got
you have
their
a friend
little.
down there.
Yes, but not. I don't like the policies. I don't like their gun laws. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got
And that's
friends
just
in
getting old.
plenty places, but no.
Didn't no, it wasn't California. I think maybe it was New York who just got their gun laws changed because the Supreme Court said it was unjust or something. Am I off the wall here?
You
You know
know,
what I'm talking
what's
about?
funny, brother? I'm not derailing or diverting the question. I'm just going to give
No?
you an example. We were sitting at that restaurant today looking up at the television and so many things kept popping up. We're like, what is that? We don't watch TV, and because of that, I think a lot of times I don't get the news that everybody else does. So my answer
I
is
get
I'm
it
not
through my
sure.
phone. My phone.
Oh, that's okay. Now,
Yeah, like weird, like a Google feed will just feed me stories, right? Oh, you might be
okay,
interested in this.
yeah.
You might be interested in that. So
The
yeah,
only
that's how I
times I
find these
see
things out.
stuff on there is what Cardi B's doing now. So I don't, yeah,
I
I
always tell
don't.
my phone I hate that stuff. So like at least it kind of finds stuff I'm sort of interested in. So I
Yeah,
guess it's kind of helping me.
that's
I don't
what
know.
mine does now. Most of the time, it pops up bread recipes. So that.
Yeah, yeah.
So no, haven't seen any of the news of New York and stuff. So is it more pro gun or more
I
gun
don't
control?
I can't I don't even really want to I don't know exactly. I just remember reading briefly. Pretty much I read the headline. I didn't get too further into the article
Okay.
that it was revoked because unconstitutional. This was just after that Roe v. Wade was overturned
Uh,
or same
you
time.
know what? It's all a ruse to me. All of that, all of it. Whether it's conservative news or liberal news, they all just kind of. I have a hard time believing any of it anyway. We know
Do you
that.
think the pendulum might be swinging back the other way?
Only if certain people want it to be.
Do you, yeah? See, like that.
I
I'm
I
not sure.
do.
Like this
Go
is
ahead.
one
Go
thing
ahead.
I'm
Just say
struggling.
it. Say how you
No,
feel
no,
about it.
no. Like I don't know. Like I just wonder. I'm curious. Like how much influence, um, I guess these world elites or these controllers, farmers of men, whatever you want to call them, how much influence they really do exert on things, or do things like happen in a like some things they can control, some like is it 70-30? Like I don't know, like I wonder about these things, like how much is in their hands. I have a hard time thinking that everything is them master manipulating everything. Like there's got to be some action and reaction.
Right?
So I don't, I'm just curious. I don't really know.
I kind of think it depends on the people, the bigger masses. So, not to sound pessimistic about people, but population right now, I have almost zero faith in. And because there's people like us who try to think independently, right? But I mean, I want to think that there's more of us out there than we realize because they don't want us to know how many of us are out there.
I
They
was
don't want
just
us
going to
to.
say that. I'm think
Yes,
that there's more than you think because I
there
keep
is.
finding them.
But then you have the rest who are just like, they see. I In fact, I just sent a snapshot to Faith and Vader Jones, my sisters. I love texting them every day, and I sent them
Shout
a
out to Faith and Vader Jones.
yes, Vader. We got to have Vader and Faith on someday. You're gonna love Vader. um
Yeah, for
I
sure.
sent them a little still shot from a news article about some climate change is now melting the polar ice caps, and there's bacteria and things in there that are going to create a bunch of more pandemics. And let's hope they don't get released into the wild or some shit like that. And
Yeah.
I think people read stuff like that, they believe it, they eat it up, just like how you saw so many people out there actually wearing masks and gloves and carrying around Lysol. It was like, really? When I see that, then I think the pendulum swings more toward the 1% controlling everything because we allow them to. Those people allowed them to call the shots. Now, do I believe they control 100% of what happens in the world? No, because I do see where like certain things happen to where you see the people trying to push back. There's certain
Yeah.
entities that try to push back, but I
Yeah.
also see the power that the 1% has when if they succeed in shutting it down, succeed in eliminating. all of a sudden this person committed suicide, and it's like, no, they didn't. I don't know. I think that the I don't know about the percentage, brother. I'll be honest. I really don't have the education to really know enough
Well,
about
who
that.
could know? Who could really? That's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, who could know?
But think of this. They've been at it for centuries. I do believe they've influenced all the wars. I do believe that for the major influences that affect the world, like the leadership that is in place for any country. I'm not just talking about US or Canada. You think about the people. Now I remember when Canada, no, when France, was it Macron and Le Pen? Remember when they were running against each other? I think it was in France. And
Yeah,
I really thought Le Pen, that woman seemed like she was genuinely trying to work against the globalist sanction, right? And
yeah.
but everybody seemed like they were for her. Everybody seemed like you're like, yeah, that's the woman we want, yeah. And then she lost, and it's like, how did that happen? I see
Hmm.
those things, and that's where I believe there is an influence, and that they know how to play their cards right because they've been doing it for centuries, and they're very good at it.
Well, they're
Now,
organized
they are very organized, and that's the problem. The rest of the people, the masses, are not. We're so divided, and we eat it up. We ate up the whole Black Lives Matter. Let's all fight about it. And now Roe versus Wade. Let's fight about this. Even among Christians. And I was talking about this. I mean, several times with Bubba and Steven and other platforms. you know we get these details caught up in our heads about the video I made last night, right? So
I wanted to bring that up. That was pretty epic. And there was a couple scenes like, well, there one part or a few parts that made me laugh. And one part where you kind of pan up at the sky and you can kind of hear the wind and your hair is blowing and you
yeah,
seemed like really into it. I was like, that's a pretty powerful image. It was really cool. Like, and you were
but
really on
that's
fire. You were on point. Like you had a
the
message. It was clear. It was
right.
awesome.
Well, because, dude, I that's the way I see it in my head when I see one Christian going after another Christian. And then you hear, you can pick up, I'm sorry, I know people think that they're hiding their words well by trying to say it like it is. Don't sit there and say, "Well, I'm going to pray for you, Clutch." You've never heard what's some one thing I can pick on you about? Let's say, okay, you've never heard the profound voice of God, and that's not the way you converted the way I did, or something, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm gonna pray for you, brother. Well, don't tell me that. If you really like, you're just saying it to act like you're more self righteous than someone else.
It's a
And then
fake veneer for sure. You're being fake. It's
right.
disgusting.
And you're saying it out loud to that person just to jab them because you know that you're trying to make them feel like lesser of a Christian. And all these Christians do it, Clutch. I see it in a lot of chats too. These comments about, you know, almost like I'm more self-righteous and more knowledgeable than someone else.
It's
But
the
then you have
most judgmental group of people on the face of the earth. And that is
and
why they're being rejected en masse because people see the hypocrisy there.
right. And that's not going to win any of these wars against those who would love to see us do that to each other and fall apart, because how are we going to the what is it, a house divided will fall. A house divided will fall.
For sure.
And that's, it doesn't just go for Christianity, it goes for people in general. I'm not saying we could sit there with a Satanist and just be like, oh, this guy's all right. He's got feelings. Yeah, they do. But you're not going to win anybody over by acting self righteous about it. I mean, who would
You
want
want
to
to
talk to you if
you
you're
want to
going to
hear
treat
something
them? What?
interesting? kind of on subject here. You know how I felt about the law and uh,
Yes.
faith and like. Okay, so something interesting. I was kind of being naughty, I guess you might say. I was a little bit eavesdropping
Oh,
on a conversation, let's say, okay, and
all right.
they were talking about not. They weren't really. I guess they were kind of talking about the law, but not. They're definitely not to me. But they were just. How were they saying it? It was kind of like if you uh, if you follow the law, let's say, how do I know? It's more like if you're loving and you are kind of following Jesus's commandments, then you're already following the law, and like those small details, they're irrelevant. And then I was talking to my son's friend's dad, and we kind of were picking up on that conversation, and he
Right.
explained it a little deeper from his perspective, and I think it kind of won me over. I think that they're right. Like it isn't.
What did he say?
It's hard to. I can't repeat it verbatim, right? It's just it's more of that. It's just they brought me to a spot where I could understand that yes, if you're following Jesus's rules, if you're acting out of love, then
The
those
law part falls into place.
right, exactly,
Yes.
and the specifics of it aren't so important. So I'm much more on board there, but I'm still not sold. Let's say on it's completely well. I don't know what when you say by grace alone. What do you mean by that? Let me ask you that.
I never said great by grace
Oh, I
alone.
thought you said that as well. Okay, my
Oh
bad.
no, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Are you? Is it a rhetorical
No,
question?
I thought you said that too before. Okay, that's what a lot of people have been saying by grace alone. I'll say like that. And so I guess
I know somebody
what
who has said that, and I know, like, like Michael has indicated, the salvation. It seems like by grace alone. I don't know if he said that, but I know what they're
okay,
talking
can
about.
we speculate what people might mean by grace alone? Because if it's the magic word thing again, I'm off the train. Like there's not.
No, no. My
But if
impression.
it's
Okay,
just
well,
that you're, oh, sorry, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Please finish.
oh no, you go ahead because I was going to start a
No,
rant.
you go. No, you go. No, you go this time.
Okay,
Go ahead.
well, two things. First, a confession. Until I really met you and the group that, I met you with, I
Yeah.
never heard anybody talk about the law. The law.
Okay.
Oh, this and the law says, but the law is, and I'm like, what are they talking about? I still kind of don't follow it that well. Like,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm still
If you
learning.
read Leviticus, I think you might catch on more. Like Leviticus is really the books of the law, right?
Okay. I will
So
have to look into it
it's
because
like it's like a set of rules God lays out for people to follow.
okay. My second thing is, okay, I guess it kind of pertains to the law, but I'm speaking only for myself. But I had proclaimed I can't talk. I had
Procrastinated.
no
Oh,
proclaimed.
oh,
I
proclaim.
had
Sorry.
proclaimed to be a Christian. I think when I was about 20 something, and if I'm
Okay.
honest, I think I just did it to spite my mother because she was Buddhist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't mean I actually meant it. I sat there and I went to church and I did the condescending conversation to my sister-in-law at the time because she liked Marilyn Manson and got her tongue pierced, and oh, that's the devil, Bobby, right?
I love
I
when
did
you
it.
say
I'm telling you, and I'm being honest. I was so full of shit because of
it.
it. Now, if you want to talk about the person that I was at that time, there was no law I was not abiding by anything because I was still having affairs behind my husband's back. I was still stirring the pot of shit when it came to the in laws. And trying to hurt their feelings to make myself feel better. I was still lying to people at work because I wanted them to be impressed by who I was. I wanted to be awesome, and I wanted to be popular. And I did things and said things that would humiliate certain people because I thought it was funny. Am I describing anybody you know? It could probably be a lot of people in this world.
I've
But
been
at the
there.
same time, yeah, I went to church though, Clutch. I went to church, and when I needed it, I would find the right scripture to use against other people so that they would think that I was the good Christian following the law. But I was only using it as a weapon, which is probably the highest form of blasphemy because you're using scripture to hurt someone, which is not that's not what it's meant for. Now, I even did the baptism thing. Dude, I even went to the church and they dunked me under the water. And then we had a big party afterwards because I was born again. You know, it was
Yeah.
all complete shit.
Okay, but
And,
wait.
but
Just, I'm sorry. Can I? Because
yeah,
I'll
go
lose my
ahead.
train of thought, and I don't want.
Don't
I
lose it.
feel bad
What are you
interrupting.
going to
Do
say?
you do you think, just as a side note, in parenthesis, do you
Okay.
think that you maybe, like, you were full of shit in the moment, but maybe that you accepting it and that baptism was the start of something that would eventually change you?
It was part of the road, but I didn't mean any of it. And I know it.
Oh, okay,
I know it.
okay.
I
Carry
I
on. So,
did it
I'm
for
sorry.
the attention. No, no, you're
I'm,
fine.
okay.
Interrupt and ask because I don't want you to forget what you were going to
I
ask.
will forget. My short-term memory sometimes isn't great.
That's okay. But let's fast forward to that 2008, 2009. I don't know if you heard my testimony.
I did.
I'm not going to go through the whole testimony again.
No,
Okay.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Okay. But my the irony is the actual moment that I did give my life to Jesus, I was alone and there was no attention to be had. There was nobody to prove it to and nobody to care except me and Jesus Christ. I was alone, curled up on the floor in my house on base, in uniform, like a tough girl, because I was a tough girl and I was crying like a baby, right? And nobody, the thing is afterwards, I mean, I did the crying for hours, and then I cleaned myself up and it was like, okay. And it's not like anything got better right away. I was still in trouble with the military. I was still in a marriage that was falling apart. It was the beginning of the end for that marriage, but I knew it between me and God alone. And I did
It was
not
your Captain
proclaim.
Dan moment.
What's that?
I said it was your Captain Dan moment. I don't know
That's
if you've ever
right.
seen Forrest Gump when he fights him in the sea, when he yells at him.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan,
Or
but
Lieutenant Dan. I'm
I
sorry. Lieutenant Dan.
I was wondering. I was like, which movie are they
Captain Dan.
captains up in Canada? But
I upgraded him. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a conversion. No,
So
but
sorry, I keep interrupting you. I
no,
apologize.
I love it because that's the monotony. I was starting to feel a little anxiety going back to that moment. So I thank you. But the difference is, Clutch, is that even when I went to my superiors after that, I didn't go and tell them, like, look, guys, I found Jesus last night. Things are going to change. I mean it now. No, I didn't tell nobody. I didn't even tell my husband at the time. I, I told nobody because it's nobody's business. And the change with me then is that every time I knew something was wrong, every time I had the impulse to say something like I used to, or lie, or be judgmental, all of those things, I consciously had to work at it to try to not commit that sin. And I'm not saying I was able to just follow the perfect path after that. I still had times when I would lose my temper and say somebody, like you effing do this, and then afterwards I was like, that was probably the wrong thing to say. And not only that, I did things that I would have never done before. And if this is law or not, I don't know. But I would actually go to that person after, and without embarrassment, I just tell them, look, I was an asshole and I'm sorry, but I didn't I said that because I was angry and I hope you can forgive me, and I left it with them. I never apologized before then. So when you talk about the law and whether it applies or not, I guess I kind of feel like if the person is truly sincere about giving their heart to Christ, they will try their best. They will do what they can. The change comes from within them because it's about that relationship with Jesus, and that they want to fulfill that part because I constantly remember, the only reason I have that grace, and I'm doing the little quotation with my fingers, grace, is because I believe he sacrificed himself for me. So I want to fulfill whatever laws he puts before me. I don't see it as laws. I just see it as more of he did this for me, and this is what he would want me to do. He would want me to do the right thing. He would want me to be humble. He'd want me to apologize when I make a mistake and hurt somebody. And so I want to do it. I want to, because I know that that's kind of like the least I can do for Christ after what he's done for me. Does that make sense? Then
Yeah,
as
yeah,
far
I
as
think
people listing laws on a piece of paper and stuff, I could care less. Because to me
like
it comes naturally. It's all common sense once you know what's right and wrong.
yeah. And a lot of the laws are more like dietary, like a lot of them are dietary where they're you
Oh,
can't eat these animals. And the reason you weren't able to eat those animals is because it would make you sick, right? Like shellfish or pork.
yeah. Or
Some of the
no meat on Fridays. Is that one? Is that a law?
I don't think so. Like some were
Oh.
like, don't touch when you touch dead bodies. There was a certain mixture of stuff you were supposed to do, and that mixture is basically soap, and they're just telling you to wash your hands. Like some of
Oh.
the laws are that simple. Some are more complex, like when it comes to sin, about how you are to transfer the sin to the animal and then sacrifice the animal, that kind of stuff. That's what people mean by when they're saying laws. But let
Okay.
me back up a bit. And when you say you you feel bad about doing something or you changed your behavior, I feel like maybe it's something similar for myself. And it's kind of like maybe an inner dialogue almost, an inner conversation where you
Yep.
feel maybe convicted, and it's like, oh really, you're gonna lie right now, you're gonna say that. And
Yep.
like something, I'm not saying like, just as an example, right? And so yeah, that's what it is for me. And it's not like I it's not like I don't accept Jesus, and I don't have an ulterior motive where I want to lower Jesus's standing or do anything like that. For me, it's all honestly about knowing God, knowing the truth. I just want to know. I like to talk about philosophy and things of that nature, and it's just a seeking of truth, like a real genuine truth. And I've said those words, those magic words in my life. I've said them at different stages. I don't know. Did I mean them? Did I not mean them? I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like maybe at the time I did, but did I change my behaviors right away? No. But I've. It's not like I haven't had times where and I can't say like there was one specific time where I just completely broke down and had that kind of similar experience, but I have had experiences where I felt like I'm really communicating with God, and felt maybe genuine sorrow, genuine happiness. Like I've
Right?
had these moments. And uh, like I don't really call it Jesus. Like to me, Jesus is our ultimate teacher. He's going to be our king. He's going to rule over us. He's the best of us. He's our example, our brother, what we aspire to be. Um,
Right.
but to me, God is God. To me, am I wrong? Is he going to put me in hell for that? I sure as hell hope not. But that's just what makes sense to me and like how I understand it. And I'm sorry if I offend anyone or if I offend God by being so stupid, but that's just what it means. Like that's how that's how I do it. Like that's my journey. I
Well,
don't know if any of that makes sense or if you
it
resonate
does.
with any of that or
It
that's
does. It
yeah.
makes perfect sense, Clutch. And I'll round back with two things on that. One, how your relationship with God makes you a Christian is nobody else's business, because for them to sit and judge you over it,
I'm not a Christian. I don't claim them. Like
I don't either.
yeah, like I don't like that title. I don't know what to
I
call
don't
myself,
either.
but
Because
yeah, like
I've seen Christians, and I'm doing the quote thing with my fingers again. Can you see it? I've
yeah.
seen I've seen those Christians standing on the street corners in Seattle holding signs that says God hates fags. God hates fags. And I'm like, "Wow, that is like the
Does
most
he?
that I don't want to be bunched with those people.
I'm just
I
being a
can't. Because I
I know,
mean,
I know, I know.
right?
I know. I'm sorry. Sometimes I joke when I shouldn't. Yeah, I know. I'm being
No,
silly.
that's okay. You joke, but I remembered that when I was driving, and I was like, "Oh my God." And then
Yeah,
I thought it was ironic that I said, "Oh my God." But the second thing to that though is, I just this popped into my head when you were talking about how you like to discuss philosophy and things like that. And just because you choose to question things, if people get upset at you because that guy
they,
Clutch,
they
he
sure do.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen
I
it.
know.
I've seen
Yeah,
people even call you, said that you were not a Christian. And I
yeah.
was like,
I'm
why
not.
would somebody say
I
that?
admit I'm not. I'm not.
And that's funny because they meant it in a way that they were saying you were not of God, or
That's
you
right.
don't
That's
believe in
right.
God, right?
That's right.
Then
That's yeah.
know the intent of that
That I
comment.
wasn't saved. That's what they're really
That's
saying. That
what it
I'm gonna
is.
burn in hell.
That's right. And here's the
Yeah,
thing, just because you
maybe.
are the kind of person to ask questions, you question everything,
Yeah.
people forget God made you that way. And
Yeah.
how you are between you and God is still none of their business. You know,
I still
you
I still think that we're each individual is like a piece of God experiencing the universe through all those different perspectives, all at
right.
once.
Well, we
Like
all
really,
cannot be the same. We cannot all be exactly alike, because
and
then how would we serve a purpose to other people who lack what we have,
that's
or
right.
vice
Just like
versa?
cells in a body, they all do different jobs. But
Exactly.
like, and when you say I question things, I sure do. And you know what? It served me well. Like I wasn't a sheep for a certain procedure that people seem very positive about. I and
Right?
other things in my life where I chose not to participate or chose to participate, whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
because I question things, you know. So like,
Right?
it served me well in the past, and I don't know if that's just the way I am, like you said. So there's nothing I can do about it. And I, if I go to hell for that reason, then things aren't fair. That's what I
Yeah.
would say. You know,
Well,
like
here's an interesting thought though. You like to kind of play with things in your head. So
yeah,
maybe you're made to question things, not just for yourself though. Say you're in a
yeah.
place where you question something about this thing or that thing, and somebody that you ask that question to, just another person following the rules and doing what they're told like good little sheep, um, being shocked and surprised that this man all of a sudden asks the question, like he's not afraid to say it, and he genuinely sees something wrong with us just bowing down and doing it, could inspire them to start thinking for themselves too. And
Wow.
maybe, remember, we talked about this in one of our last streams, like we would love to see like what effects we have on other people that we never see. Maybe months
I
from
just had a
now, that
terrifying thought though. Oh my,
oh no,
just
what is
yeah.
that?
When you said that, I thought, yeah, I remember that exactly. But what if we seen the good? But what if we also seen the bad effects we had?
And, that's why we have to be careful about our actions more so than people who don't care. People who don't care and let their tongue fly in any way they want and don't practice self control don't realize the negative effect that they can have. We, unfortunately, when we have a good heart and we try to do the right thing, we think about that. We don't want to affect people in a bad way, but we're also
It's
not perfect, Clutch. So
it's
we.
always that that cheesy saying. You've probably heard it before. It's like the ripples in a pond, right? You throw a stone in the pond
Oh
and it
yeah,
ripples out,
yeah.
right? All these little
Ripples in the water.
right. But I've
Yes,
always resonated with that, and it's always like affected me, and I could never. I I want
but
to be
it's
careful what I
true.
say here. I want to be careful what I say here, but I
Okay.
I have had opportunities in my life where I've come to a crossroad, let's say, where I had a choice I could make.
Yeah.
And the choice would probably I would probably end up hurting someone, right? In some way or another. Let's just be vague like that. And
Okay.
uh, like nothing terrible, terrible, but whatever. Uh, I never could because of that inner dialogue. I could never really become criminal or I could never take that step. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because of that, because that silly ripples in the pond, I always like, oh, you never know. Like, I don't know.
It
It's
could be a bad thing. This
some
could be.
maybe that's God holding me back in a way, like helping me. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but and maybe everybody's had that, like where they come to certain points in their life and they got to make a decision to be good or bad at that point, and
Yes.
and
There there
I don't
is
know,
there is
maybe.
a point in maturity where a person becomes consciously aware of their character and how it affects other people and themselves. And I
Yeah,
think that's important because when you're a young buck and I see it in my son all the time. Just, his instinct is be like, fuck that, and I'm just like, whoa, whoa, can we why are you ready to just blow that off so quick, son? Let us talk
that
about
reminds
this.
me of a that reminds me of a dirty joke, not the one I had
Oh
intended to
no.
tell, but there is a joke there. I don't have to tell it, but
You can
it
tell it.
let me see if I can say it cleanly. This guy told
Oh,
this to me. This guy told this to me one time. I kind of ripped him off for some money, I guess, basically. Like I didn't pay him back for some
okay.
drugs. I'm just going to be honest, okay?
Okay,
So
wow.
let's just be honest. Let's be honest. And uh, like he wrote this down on a note because I ditched the place where I was. Anyways, stupid, but it was it talks about there's two cows on top of a hill. Have you heard this? Two bulls on
No.
top of a hill. There's
Okay.
an old bull and a young bull, and they look down in the valley and they can see a bunch of cows. And the
Right.
young bull says to the old bull, "Let's run down the hill and have relations with one of these cows."
Okay.
And the old bull responds with, "Why don't we walk down the hill and we can have relations with all the cows?"
Still funny. Come on. That's still
Good.
cleanest
All
dirty
right.
joke
Good.
ever.
I want to be careful, right? But
Yeah, but that's good though. That's you're not ending the show with that, are you? Was
no,
that the
I
joke?
don't have to. No, no, no. It just
Okay.
came to me when you said my son is a young buck and he's ready to
Yeah.
he wants to run down and do whatever. That
Just
thing came to my mind.
oh
And
man.
it really made me think, like, what is this guy trying to tell me right now? Like
Yeah.
that's a weird thing to write someone who owes you drug money.
Yes. That is
Right?
that. I was kind of wondering where the beginning of that story applied, but he
I
wrote
don't
that to
know.
you.
I don't. I to this day I don't really know what he meant personally by that. I never talked to that guy again. Um,
Wow.
but
But
like
it's a good joke. But you got a joke out of it.
I got a joke out of it, and I've always had like these weird experiences with people, like good or bad, like where something weird happens like that, and it just resonates through my life, like that story. I don't know.
There you go.
I
See how
guess
the
that's the
ripple
part about
effect?
being single. Yeah, yeah. That's the part about being single I miss the most is I would meet lots of random weird people.
You missed that?
In
I
a weird way, I do, yeah. Like, because it was always like, well, like these things, right? Where they just like something
Now
that
you
I
have
don't know.
stories.
Yeah, you have stories. It develops character. I don't know.
No,
It's
it's
something.
true. You do you I I understand what you're saying because I mean I have military stories. The hardest part about telling them sometimes is trying not to expose what a nut I was, and but then again, I'm not ashamed of who I
I
used to
can.
be. You know what I mean? It's
No,
it's
there
got to
should
be
be no
part of the
shame.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not me anymore. I just sometimes I worry. I always tell my son too. I'm all like, don't be what I used to be, but just know that this is the way your mom was, and he kind of
I
laughs
think the
too
same.
now.
Yeah, I think the same thing with my boy. Like, boys, and I I don't think they'll be as wild as I was because for me it was more of like there was no I had no real direction. Like there was no real authority figures. You know what I mean? Like no one was
They
guiding
have a
me. No
better
one was.
foundation now than you did.
I think I really did do that for them. I really do. Like I learned
Good.
what not to do.
Yeah.
So I just do
Yeah.
the opposite.
Yep. And I know my son's gonna make mistakes. Hopefully, not the same ones I made, but
Of
that's
course.
why instead of
Yeah.
trying to control him and try to mitigate each and every mistake, I just try to equip him with the knowledge and understanding of how to cope with it, recovery. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
adapt
And
and overcome.
I tell my kids like, well, I haven't told them everything, but I'm pretty honest about like what I've done and not done and
Right?
like and I don't tell them like to glorify it. I'm just like, look, I'm not the geek you think I am. Like I have had an experience. You know what I'm right? And that's what I'm trying to tell them. Like, look, and I've made this mistake. So you don't need to make it. We know what happens when you do this. So try to
Yep.
do something better and be a better version of me.
I always joke with Sam about that too. Same, similar. I've told him a couple times. I was like, this is a sad part. Okay, a lot of them don't apply because kids are different now too, though. But I told him, I said, all those little lies that you think you're going to tell me about when you get a girlfriend, and you guys are just going to the movie and all that stuff, and he's like, no, mom, I'm not. Why would I lie to you about that? And I'm like, because I know already that you're not really going to the movie. And,
Yeah.
and then I told him, I said, you got to remember, your dad and I invented those. We invented all those lies and stuff. And then here we come to this day where he doesn't even like try to sneak out. I was joking with him when we were trying to install an air conditioner in his window, and we were using this sticky foam to seal the board above it to kind of keep the cold air in. And I
Yeah.
told him, I said, this is going to make it a lot harder for you to sneak out your window. He had like no idea. He was like, why wouldn't I just go out the front door? Like I was an idiot. And I was just like, wow, son, he it blew his mind. Like that is the most inconvenient way to leave the house, mother. Why would I do that? And I shook my head and I said, never mind. I called his father a couple days later and I said, your son said this to me. He really said it sincerely. And his dad was like, yeah, kids nowadays, I don't know what's wrong with them.
They
Like
are
sneaking
different than
out.
us. They
They
don't
don't
do
know how
some
to
of
live.
they don't rebel the same way we did. Definitely
No,
not.
no, they don't. And
They
you
change
know what?
genders.
Yeah, yeah, that's that is true, Clutch.
Yeah, I
I
know,
mean,
right?
the
I know.
first
I'm joking,
girlfriend
but I'm
he,
not. Yeah.
I know, no, I had to put the hammer down because the first girlfriend he met convinced him to get a manicure with black nail polish. I'm like,
Oh,
no, there will
no,
be no
that's
nail
gay.
polish.
That's
And I,
gay. That's gay.
yeah, right?
Sorry. I hope that doesn't get us a strike or something, but I
No,
find that
no, as
that's a
long as
very
it's
gay
not
thing to
medical
do.
misinformation, we're fine. I gave him a bottle of nail polish remover and he said, "Oh, that won't work, Mom. It's a gel coat." I'm like,
I
"Why
don't
do
know what
you
that
even
means.
know what that is?" It's
I
not.
was just gonna say I don't know what that means. What a joke! Like I didn't realize there was a difference.
It's like this stuff that it's like acrylic. It turns to like a hard acrylic on your nail that nail polish remover won't remove unless you soak it for a long time. I just told him. I said, then we're tearing off your fingernails because that's coming off. It just that's the way they rebel now. I mean,
Yeah.
not it's not sneaking out of the house. It's not stealing the car. It's not lying to your mom that you're going to spend the night at a friend's house and then going and staying the night with your boyfriend or
Or,
girlfriend.
or
It's
getting stoned off some reefer and like
right.
yeah, like that's what I was
Paying
doing.
somebody to buy the alcohol for you. No, it
Hmm.
it's none of that. You
I
know,
know.
I
It's weird.
oh,
They're weird.
that's okay. When he grows up, his kids will rebel in a way that he won't understand either, and it'll be
This next generation that's below them, some of them are rebelling by becoming conservative. I'm
It's the
serious.
new
I'm dead serious.
counterculture. Yes,
Yeah, like it
conservatism is the
conservatism
new.
is becoming counterculture right now. It is.
I I'm gonna send you a picture. I actually have a big coffee mug that says conservatism is the new counterculture. I do.
That's what I'm talking about when I say is the pendulum swinging back the other way. Like because
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
Yeah, now I kind of see how that falls into play, and maybe you're
You know, and
right.
then it becomes that then that's mainstream and then it goes back the other way. You know, do we just do this back and forth for who knows how long?
Well, if we keep tearing apart history and taking it out of the history books, then maybe that's why we don't learn, you
Dude,
know?
dude, I just thought of something about okay, so for all those doomsdayers, everybody I pretty much talked to at that retreat, none of
Yeah,
them thought it was the biblical end. Not one of them would say, "No, I think it's the." Every one of them, and some of these people, they're the most like they're down to earth, salt of the earth people, like real Christian. Like these, this is like
that's awesome.
backwoods Christian, like these type of people, like they're true as Christian as they get, and I don't find their politeness fake. I don't find anything about them fake. I find them legit, and that's saying a lot coming from me, I think. But anyway, and none of them, not a one of them, and I don't agree with all their doctrine, but not a one of them thought it was the biblical end. They're like most of them are like, look at Spain. It used to be a global empire. Now it's just one of the countries. Like,
Yeah,
look at Turkey. Empires grow and they fall, and so the West
that's
probably won't be the
right.
police of the world anymore. But that doesn't mean that Jesus is coming back tomorrow just because, like the West, you know, like because we're having an economic downturn and we're not going to be the bosses anymore. That does not. Do you know what I'm saying here? Like,
Yes, yes, that's
yeah. And so
exactly right.
I was really like relieved that I wasn't the only one who felt that. I was like, "Oh, this is great. Like we don't even agree on everything, but we definitely agree on this. Like it doesn't it it's a change. I'm not going to doubt that. I'm not disputing any of that. I think our lifestyles are going to change, but yeah, I just
But
don't
we're
see Jesus
learning from
coming back.
it. And yeah, and
Maybe God's doing this to teach us all a lesson. We've been spoiled little brats, so maybe it's time that we learn how to
yes,
make things again and how to connect again with God.
how to go back to trade, how to go back to something simple. We are
Mm-hmm.
so Orwellian. I mean, it's the whole like staring at screens, and people are getting hit by cars because they're just walking out into the street staring
Yeah.
at a cell phone.
So maybe it
And
is swinging back, and we're gonna go back to a different way of life. Like I don't know. I'm excited. I'm
let
excited.
me too. Me
I
too.
really am.
Some people are excited about the rapture. I'm excited about going back to homesteading and trading. Let's just go.
And
Let's
what if? Okay, like okay, let's just say I prepare, um, and I plan properly right now, and I have a homestead that is pretty self sufficient. It doesn't have to be 100%. Let's just say 50% sufficient, just for argument's sake. And
right.
and let's say I've come closer to God, I've raised my children properly, and I've set them up financially and spiritually, morally to live a good life in the future, whatever this future may be. I have given them trades and skills, and they're equipped to deal with it.
Right.
Now, let's say the rapture does happen, and all that was for naught. Okay, well, I was wrong, and whatever. Maybe I'm left behind and because I'm such a heretic and we need these skills. Or maybe
And
we
you're
go to
still,
heaven. Maybe
you
we
know
go to
what's
heaven and it doesn't matter. Or maybe the rapture doesn't happen and my prudent planning and my preparedness help set my kids up for a good future and my grandkids as well. And I've accomplish something good and you could judge me by my fruits.
yes. Yeah, that is interesting. I had a thought. I don't know why
Sorry to
when
cut you
you
off. Yeah.
no, no. What was really interesting is I was kind of laughing because you're describing this, and all of a sudden I pictured you in the woods with your family, and you're doing your thing, and you have that 50% homesteading thing going on. The rapture happens, and you don't even realize it because you're out there.
That would be a funny skit, dude.
Wouldn't it be? You're
And
just
life
doing
just
your
goes, you
thing.
like go to the town and it's all like, whoa, where is everybody?
Or it's burning, and you're like, well, we got to go see the dentist, don't we? And I guess not. Let's go home.
Oh, just leave the money on the counter for the grocery store. Anyone here? Just leave this here, Frank. See you
Oh,
later.
we're gonna be in so much trouble for laughing at this clutch.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
2 months later after the rapture, you just come rolling
you
into
realize.
town. It looks like a scene out of The Walking Dead. You're like, what?
Oh,
Where is everybody?
jeez, that's awesome.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I wish I could
Okay,
animate.
what's that?
Said I wish I knew how to animate. I'd animate a sketch like that for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. I saw it in my head and I was trying to drink water. I almost spit it out. And I was like, okay, I gotta wait till he finishes the sentence. But you were right though. I mean, there's so many things that are left unknown, but I'll tell you, I kind of think that's done by design. I kind of think that we're not meant to know these things. We're not meant to know the exact date and the answer to it, because if we did, here's my philosophy on it. If you are a rotten person that doesn't, believe in Christ, but you knew that in 1 week the world is going to be raptured or it's going to end or you were going to die, does that change your action? And I don't think it's meant for you to know, because people that are naturally being the way they are, what do you see where I'm going with this? Like their true colors are what they are, and God
Mm-hmm.
wants, that's
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I get. I'm tracking. I'm tracking.
yeah. And so I just kind of feel like, there are things that our minds are too, we're not meant to know a lot of things because it affects our true character. And
Exactly.
God
Yes, yes.
wance
This
us
is a
for our
test.
true
Sometimes
character.
I think of it like this may sound stupid, but okay. Let's say if I was a trillionaire, uh, and I wanted to find love.
Right.
But I couldn't because everybody would just want me for my money. So maybe I would
Yes.
have to like go undercover and like act a certain way so that I could find a woman with good character and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a trillionaire after we get married and like bonus
Right.
for her, right? I
Right.
wonder if it's like that sort of a
But
thought.
you
Like,
knew her true feelings about you because you
right,
knew she wasn't pretending because she knew you had money.
that's right. That exactly.
I
That's
think
what I feel like God's doing.
yes.
That, but
I
you,
think they
I don't
actually
know.
made a TV show like that a while
Did they
back.
really?
Yes, they had some good-looking guy who was just a construction schmuck, and they dressed him up and told these women that he was a millionaire, but he was looking for love. And of course, you see the way these women tried to dazzle him. And at the
Yeah.
end of the show is apparently like she talks about how much she cares about him, and yes, I'll marry you. And then, oh, by the way, he lives in Santa Ana and he's just a construction worker. And just to
He's a
see her,
bum.
yeah, yeah, lives in his mother's basement. By the way, you need to help with the phone bill. Just things like that.
You owe him $500 right now.
Can you
Oh,
help him with an Uber ride home from this? But
oh,
I
that's
agree with
awesome.
you. I agree that is the concept I was trying to illustrate, and I believe that, but not everybody would agree.
No.
They I don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah, who cares?
I
I
guess
don't care anymore. You could call me a heretic. I mean, like whatever.
yeah,
Do it.
yep.
Like I know what I'm doing and how I feel, and I mean, I'm doing my best. If that's whatever, I don't know. I just don't care. I
Well,
just don't care.
it's like you had said. It's your fruit, Clutch,
Yeah,
and
judge me by that at the end of the day, and well, I guess we'll
exactly.
see. And you know
Well,
what? If you wanted to get really biblical, I've been thinking lately, like unless these guys have a beard, are married, and own some land, they shouldn't be talking any shit at all because technically they don't have a right to.
a
So
beard?
that's awesome.
I've
Yeah, man. Like I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be bearded, own land, and be married before you are considered like wise enough to be able to speak on a subject. I'm dead serious. I'm positive that's biblical. I can't cite a verse, but I'll find you one.
I've never heard a verse about having a beard. What are you
I'm
talking about?
dude. I am serious. I'm not making this
Have
shit
you
up.
ever seen a Chinese man in 80 years old? They never have beards. They can't even when they try to grow one.
You
It's like
remember
four hairs.
Kung Fu the Legend with David Carradine?
Yes.
And they had that guy, the Ancient, with that like weird beard. Is that what you're
Yes.
describing?
Yes. Oh, like David Lopan, the bad guy on Big Trouble in Little China. just
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
a few scraggly hairs coming out your chin. Like, oh, how did we end up on this? Okay, so checklist: get a beard, marry
Get
someone,
married and own some land, and then you can talk
own
shit,
some land, and then
right?
otherwise keep your mouth
But does
shut.
that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Like in any way, does that
Oh,
could that be reasonable? Like if you're married, you own land, that means you're responsible, you're paying taxes, you're supporting your family. You have a beard means you're old enough to like to be wise enough, like an
to have
18-year-old doesn't
maturity.
right, an 18-year-old doesn't have a beard. So
I was
I
gonna
see,
say
do
I
you see the
suppose I
reason and
could
the
see
logic
that.
there? Yeah.
Yes, I was just about to say I suppose a beard just indicates that you are at a level of maturity to where you've earned kind of the right to give
Talk some
advice,
shit. That's right.
Yeah, have a
That's right.
say. Well,
That's right.
you know what? And
So
that's the
I
thing.
challenge these haters to get married grow a beard and get some land, and then we'll talk.
There you go. That's a level of respect has to be had and earned. I I get the question all the time, why don't I dye my hair? Why how come how come you leave it gray? Well, first of all, I know men don't dye their hair and you don't want to talk about that sort of thing, but just understand that if you dye your hair a dramatic color other than what you already have, it's a pain in the butt to constantly keep up the roots because your hair grows a lot faster than you realize.
Hmm.
Secondly, I feel like the gray and the white hair is kind of like a crown of experience. You
Like a
know,
silverback gorilla.
that's right. I've earned this shit, and
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
keeping
No,
it.
I'm down. Yeah.
I'm keeping it because I mean, people can see any young girl with the dark colored hair and it looks great, and I'm sure it would take years off of it, but you know what, I like the wisdom. I like leaning toward this is where I've been, I've earned it, and this is the experience I carry with me, and every gray hair is a humiliation I've had at one point or another, so I'm keeping it. I
Right
don't
on,
know,
man. Hey,
you guys have beard.
that avatar I
Yeah.
have showing, American goldfinch.
That's what it was. I
Hmm.
remember you were stumbling on it, and I don't know why, but I kept thinking of these birds called blue tits.
Never
And
heard of them.
you really? Oh,
Yeah,
that I
never.
think
No.
there's a lot of them in the UK, but I was wondering if there were ones that come in yellow, and maybe that was what that is. But goldfinch does look right. That's beautiful.
Thanks to my son for identifying that. And
Oh, he
what do
did.
you call a
Uh oh.
girl who cannot make a sandwich?
What do you call a girl who cannot make a sandwich?
Yeah,
Is this a dirty joke, or because my mind just went there?
you call
I
her
don't know.
single.
Ah, brother, I want to give a shout out to Michigander because every time he gets on chats, he asks for a sandwich because he needs a woman. He
That's
needs a
why I
sandwich
that's
maker.
why I chose that joke because you're always making those sandwiches jokes. So that was you brought it pretty hard with the Negroes last week. So I was like, I gotta do something. Like I can't go so wholesome. So I got the cow joke and I got this one. Not bad.
Okay, well, now I got to think of a good joke to one up you next time we talk.
Awesome. Awesome. I don't know.
Awesome.
Next week, I'm not sure. There's like some birthday party celebrations. The summer's hard for us, so there's always something going on. So I'm not
The
sure.
summer,
Like I'll
the
be able to
summer's
talk
hard
with.
for you, Clutch, because there's always people you got to see.
That's right. That's right. Uh, I'd probably
That's
be able
okay.
to connect with you, but it's hard to make that very
The
narrow
time.
band when Teresa could talk on Sunday.
That's okay.
So
We just
just
do it the way we always do it. We'll message on Friday and see where everybody's at. If it works, great. If it don't, I understand. Like I always
yeah,
say, you've got a life, you've got a family, you've got stuff to do. I've got a life, I've got a job, I've got a family. Teresa, she's got
yeah,
like trees. She's out there lumberjacking it. I can't believe
yeah,
it. I'm like, I would love to be out there helping you because that just sounds like freedom. Working for
yeah.
yourself just sounds like freedom. So good on her. We'll connect sometime. No worries.
Awesome. Okay,
All
cool.
right. Well, thanks for talking to me. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, have a good night. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.